Okay, sorry about that. And we'll clip that all together eventually. And so anyway, I was distracted by my internet thing. But when they are two and they're throwing a tantrum, they don't understand that their tantrum is having an effect on you and on other people, that they're making them uncomfortable. They don't understand that when I hit you, I'm hurting you. At 3, they're starting to understand that. And so you want to take that into consideration and talk to them and say, "Ooh, wow, look at Joey's face. He's sad, he's hurt, you know. You hurt his feelings, you hurt his arm." And they're starting to feel that, and you can start developing that feeling and understanding, and you can guide them. All right, let's go on to 4-year-olds real quick. I call the 4-year-olds my Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 1 minute they are the sweetest little things. They warm your heart. They laugh. They've got a sense of humor. They are tender. And then within a millisecond, they're screaming and yelling and upset. Or they can be screaming and yelling and upset and then all of a sudden start laughing. I think that's just the funniest thing to watch with kids. But again, that's a normal behavior. And so just you might want to, when they start being upset, just say, "You know what, I'm going to go to the other room until you're calmer." Or you can say, "I see that, wow, what, that was fast. You were happy just a minute ago. Do you need some help? Can I help you? Blah, blah, blah." And so you can work that out. They are going to start noticing, though, when they're 4 years old, and maybe a late 3, that when they are different than other kids. So let's say it's pajama day at school and you forgot. And they come and everybody else is in pajamas. They're going to notice that. They will know. And so sometimes we'll say, "Oh, he doesn't care." He cares. Yeah, they will do that. And even if you say, "Hey, buddy, it's pajama day. I don't want to wear my pajamas. I'm going to wear my clothes." Okay. You could do that and then just say, "Yeah, you said you didn't want them," and they might be upset. Or you can say, "Well, I'll bring the jammies." And then if you get there and you decide that you want to change, you can do it then. And so you're trying to give choices. Choices are huge for kids at this age. At the 4-year-old, even 3-year-old sometimes, having a choice. We can do this or we can do this. And you don't want to give them all kinds of choices, but I want C. Nope, that's not one of the choices. You can do this or you can do this. And as they start having choices, so I noticed that one time I had a little guy and he was just struggling with sitting still, and our principal was in and observing one of the specialists do something with my class. So I was sitting at the back, and this little guy was just sitting in a bad place for him, and there was too much clothes that he could touch, and it was hard for him. And so I excused myself from the principal, went over and sat by him, and I said, "Hey, buddy, so it looks like sitting here was really hard. I can see you're really playing a lot with this, and this isn't the time. Can you think of a different place that you can sit that would be better for you?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah." He had a little sit-upon, you know, and took it somewhere else. That was very appropriate. And yet if I'd gone and say, "You can't sit here, da-da, and we're going to move you over here," he'd had a fit. He'd have gone nuts. But just by having him say, and I didn't even give him a try, I just said, "Can you think of another place that would work better for you?" "Yeah, sure." And so it worked that way. So when you approach them differently, sometimes that'll really work. Let's see. They are very challenging at 4 because once again, they're trying to find their autonomy. And so they can be very demanding. And sometimes in 4, and then definitely by 5, they're learning to manipulate. They are manipulating you by either trying to embarrass you to get what they want, or to even hurt you to get what they want, to destroy something to get what they want. So we don't want to let any of that happen. Do we need to scream and yell at them? I don't think so. But we do need to come in and calmly, "What's going on?" "Nope, nope, you're not destroying that. Now we have some choices here, and you can do da-da, but we're not hurting this. And they might push you on that, and you calmly stand your ground. And that's what's gonna help you. And man, I know it's a little more work on the coming in end. It's gonna pay off huge as they get older. All right, so let's look at 5 and 6 years old. Now, 5 and 6 year olds are mixing fantasy and reality. When they're younger, they cannot even tell fantasy from reality. Everything's reality to them. As they get to be 5 and 6, and sometimes a late 4, they're able to divide that, and they know when they're pretending, and then they know when they're really doing things. And so that's something, it's actually a really fun stage to watch them go into that. And while they are more independent, they still need that frequent interaction with their parents, and they are very sensitive to criticism. Sound familiar? And you might not even mean to say something in a critical way, but they take it as criticism. Again, that fantasy and reality. But don't we do that? If our spouse says something and they didn't mean it in a critical way, but we take it critically, forget it, right? Or the other way, sometimes we don't mean things in a critical way, but they take it in a critical way, and they're like, ah! Right? So kids are getting to that point, and they're very sensitive to criticism. So think about the way that you are talking about it and the way that you're moving forward with that. And they talk nonstop. They don't ever stop. It's like da 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 da, asking tons of questions, and that's fine. Let them talk. Listen to them. Answer them when you can. Be a part of the conversation, but just know they're just gonna talk a lot. That's part of the kid. Now, is everything? You might have a very quiet child, and that's fine. Doesn't mean their brain isn't going 800 miles an hour. They're just not talking about it a lot. And that just may be their nature. But very often, you're going to have a child that just never shuts up. Quiet, I just need some quiet. I had those days. And then let's just jump up to the 7 and 8 year olds. They're going to experiment with inappropriate behavior and words to try and get their way. Or to shock somebody, or to embarrass somebody. And so once again, while that's normal, we don't need to put up with it. They don't need as much supervision, and so it's important actually for them to have some time where they are playing without adult intervention. And so if you've got, a safe neighborhood, and they can walk to their friend's house 2 houses down by themselves, they feel very strong and happy about themselves. If at school, if you want to just drop them off at the corner instead of in front of the school, and they have that independence of walking that far, or honestly, 7 and 8, I mean, they're in, 2nd and 3rd grade there. If you're within a mile, they can walk to school. I mean, unless you're in gang infested, and you need to keep them safe. But for the most part, they can walk to school, and it's good for them. They need that fresh air. They need that activity. And so just be thinking of that. But they will think they don't need that interaction with you, but they do. And so we need to keep that in mind. And they crave their friends. Their friends become hugely important to them. And so you really want to make sure that you're paying attention to who their friends are and who they're hanging out with. So let's talk about being proactive. So you're going to look at when it becomes a problem and what contributions are they making, but also what could you have done differently? So, for example, it's chaos in the morning, right? And the kids are slowing down. It seems like the more you rush, the slower they get. And that's part of their autonomy and their need for control. Even when they're really young, they start realizing that, oh, wait, I'm a separate person. And they will start slowing down. You can see this as early as even 2 years old when you're trying to rush. What are some things then that you can do to make it go maybe a little better, right? Number one, and for any problem in all these areas, my first thing I'm going to ask a parent is, how much sleep are they getting, right? These little guys need, and even through kindergarten, they're going to need 10 and some kids 12 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. And so you need to make sure that they're getting the sleep that they need. Now, if they take a nap during the day, that's part of that time that they need in the 24-hour period. So you can consider naps as part of that, but not all kids need naps. Some kids, by the age of 2 or 3, they're done. My kids needed naps all the way through kindergarten, and one, even through the end of first grade, she needed a nap after school. But some kids don't. And so if they're not sleeping during the day, which is fine, but they need to get that sleep at night. That's going to be huge in behavior issues, in learning issues, in emotional issues, all of that. It's all really tied in many ways to sleep. So we've made sure that they're getting the right amount of sleep. The next thing you can do is, well, what are the hassles in the morning? They don't want to put their shoes and socks on? Okay, throw them in the car. If it's cold and they don't want to wear a jacket, put the jacket in the car the night before. And so then you're not even asking them, let's get your jacket on. They will survive from the door to the car. They will survive. They can be in the car, and when you get there, yeah, it's pretty cold. We need to put our jacket on. If they're barefoot and it's cold outside, they're going to want those shoes on, right? And then in the summer or whatever, if you can just throw on, flip-flop shoes that are comfortable for them, then all of that's going to work well. Make sure that you have, if you're going to be gone for an extended period of time, like more than an hour, you're going to want to make sure that you have some snacks in the car for the kids. And one of the things that's really cool, and even kids as young as 3 can react to that. Give them a list of things that we're going to do. So you write down, first we're going to go to the store, and then we're going to go to the bank, and then a reward for being so good, we're going to stop at the park or the ice cream store or something that they like to do. And then even when they're 3, oh, we're done. We're going to cross this off. What's next? The bank. Let's go to the bank. And then they see this thing that they're working their way down to something that's fun and cool. Lists are great. And I'm sorry, back to the morning. I would get everything done that I can get done the night before. So I'd make sure that lunches are made, backpacks are prepared, that, you can put their clothes out for them. I've had some kids that you put clothes out, or they choose their clothes that they want, and then in the morning they've changed their mind. And it's a big deal, and it's a huge thing. So if it's something that you can do real quick, all right, fine, but if you're not done by this time, you're wearing these clothes. So you have until now. We'll put the timer on. If you're not dressed by then, I'm going to come in and help you. And so then they have this warning. They know what's going on, right? So think of what you can do ahead of time. Try to wake them up. We're late, we gotta go, get up. But maybe he's cozy in with them. And if you can be dressed, if you can get up a little bit early, wouldn't that be worth not having the hassle of getting them out? And so if you can get up and get dressed, you come in and you're singing a fun song, you're opening the blinds or the curtains, and if you sound happy and they're like, "Wah," it's like, yeah, I know, I hate getting up too. Let's get up. Do you want me to rub your back for a couple minutes? Have things in plan so that you are waking them up pleasantly. That's going to help as well. Not always. Nothing's always, right? But you will have more times of success. All right. And then think about, are the kids tired when you're yelling, when it's getting hard? Are you tired, right? Sometimes tired parents are tough to be around too. Are the kids hungry, or are you hungry? And how much stress is going on that we're having to manage? as adults, and when we're managing stress, whatever it is, the kids pick up on it, and that becomes stressful for them too. And so instead of them thinking, oh man, mommy or daddy is very, stressed, they're unhappy. No, they pick up on like, oh, this is a bad vibe, and they will pick up on the bad vibe. So finding ways to manage stress for both you and the kids is going to be great. All right, so here's your homework for this time, is I want you to think of one thing that you can do to prepare ahead of time when you know that certain things are going to be tough, when you have a history of this is when we get angry, this is when we are dealing with a bunch of, stuff that's hard to work through. One thing that you can do to try and change the scenario a little bit. Does that make sense? And then you can report it back. Put it in the comments in the Facebook page. I'd love to see what you're saying and what you're learning, and then we can go from there. Easy homework. One thing that you can do to prepare ahead of time that will make things go easier, whether it's in the morning, whether it's bedtime, whether it's dinner time, whether it's at drop off, whatever it is. Think of one time that you're struggling with, and think of something that you can do, that, because the only person you really can change is you, and then go with that, and then let me know what you decide, okay? And I am really excited. You've got that for tomorrow. We'll be back Friday at 6 Mountain, that's 5 Pacific, 7 Central, and 8 in Eastern, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.